Xbox is giving you 30 free games this summer. Good luck to you if you're trying to get an Xbox console this year. Here's how to make an Xbox 360 controller, and what will it take to get Xbox Game Pass on Switch and PlayStation consoles. Just a reminder, if you take a look down in the description below, I have links for all sorts of Xbox gear. I've been talking a lot about the ultimate wired Xbox controller by 8BitDo. That's down there as well. You can buy it through Best Buy. If you want to get in on this new generation of Xbox cloud gaming, I also have some links for some Samsung TVs that support the Xbox Game Pass app that they're coming out with. Let's discuss. So Eric Kane over at Forbes recently wrote up this article talking about Xbox Game Pass cloud gaming. They've really made a lot of improvements. They continue to work on it. There are people who are not going to be huge fans of cloud gaming or streaming games, like my buddy Jimmy. He seems just not to be able to get behind that. But people like me, that's pretty exciting. And I personally think I agree with Eric Kane in this article. I think Xbox Game Pass is the ace in the hole for Xbox going into the future. Now, a lot of people when Starfield was being delayed, they were saying, oh man, Xbox is just taking L's, they're trash, they delay games, this is where games go to die under Xbox Game Studios. Of course, it was disappointing, guys. I'm not saying that Starfield not coming out in 2022 is not disappointing, but to go and say that the rest of Microsoft and Xbox is trash just because one title is delayed, well, Redfall got delayed too, but 2 titles got delayed, that was a little dramatic, right? Because honestly, some delays here and there doesn't really matter in the long run when it comes to their key pillar, Xbox Game Pass. Like I said, their ace in the hole. And what's even more impressive is what they've been able to do with cloud gaming. For me, if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. Cloud gaming, it's up and down for me. Sometimes I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. Other times I'm like, this is trash. But despite the fact that cloud gaming for Xbox is still in its beta phase and has managed to leapfrog some of these other gaming streaming services like Amazon, like Google Stadia, it's still pretty impressive. We know that Xbox games for the first time are playable without the use of an Xbox, and that's pretty exciting. Some people might be like, nah, well, I prefer to do the physical stuff, have a gaming console, have the physical thing in my hands, playing it, whatever, that's fine. But the option to play these games without an Xbox, without spending all that money on a console, is pretty exciting to me. And it got me thinking, Microsoft has said in the past that they want people to play wherever they want, however they want. They want to give their player base options. What would it take to get Xbox Game Pass on PlayStation and Nintendo? It would take like a seismic shift in the industry in order for it to happen, but I'm gonna entertain it for a sec. I'm sure it would take a lot of money, literally on Microsoft's part, saying, hey, Sony, Nintendo, we'll give you a huge percentage of the subscription fees that we gather from your player base if they choose to play on your consoles in exchange for letting Game Pass on your consoles. I don't know if that would make sense. I don't know if that would be lucrative, but it makes you think, if they just want you to play the games, get exposed to the Xbox ecosystem, does it really matter how much it costs in the long run? I'm not sure. Of course, we all know that gaming companies do not want another gaming company's stuff on their platform. We've seen this with Xbox versus Apple. That's why we have to have this huge workaround with the browser and cloud gaming, all that craziness. But speaking of that browser stuff, we've also seen some workarounds with being able to play, like I use my browser on my Xbox to play Hitman on Stadia. So I'm wondering if there's gonna be a viable path to do that on your PlayStation browser or even on your Nintendo Switch. There was a lot of controversy when they announced that these new Bethesda games, Redfall, Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6, the new Fallout, were gonna be exclusive to Xbox. They were saying, oh man, this is bad for consumers. I don't wanna buy an Xbox just to play those games. When in reality, that's just like their console fanboy talking, right? How cool would it be if you can have a dedicated Game Pass app on your PlayStation that just had the Xbox first-party games, the Xbox exclusive games. The third-party stuff, forget about it. You could play Starfield, Redfall, all these new first-party exclusives that are coming out. That would be the ultimate consumer-friendly thing. There would literally be nothing to complain about over on like this console war, Twitter, back and forth that I'm seeing every day. Overall, having an app like that on your PlayStation would make Sony look good because they're putting all these games that people want to play on their console, and they would make money as well because, like I said, I'm not a businessman, I'm just a YouTuber, but I'm sure they would work out a pretty sick deal where they get a huge cut of subscription fees. Of course, that does not take into account Sony's own version of Game Pass, the Sony Plus Essential, Extra, Premium, all that stuff may just be looking at this from an optimistic angle, but one can dream, right? If you're looking to get an Xbox console this holiday season,
you're gonna have a bad time.
According to a Microsoft CFO, saying that the stock issues that we've been experiencing since these consoles came out are going to continue for the rest of 2022 and maybe into 2023. In a recent interview, Xbox CFO Tim Stewart said the supply chain environment could remain rocky through 2022 and the holiday season. He added that one of the issues impacting Xbox and others is limited parts, and the other is elevated logistics pricing, pressuring margins. Now that is something that no one wants to hear, right? I'm sure everyone is super annoyed hearing not just about consoles, but tech shortages in general. Still, if you're trying to get a GPU or a new graphics card or things like that, you're just tired of it, right? You just want to get the stupid box that plays the game and play games. That's it. This is particularly troubling, depressing news for me because I felt like the stock for Xbox Series consoles was getting a little bit better. Anecdotally, at least, people were telling me, yeah, I see Xbox Series X consoles, Series S consoles for sure, all the time when I walk into Target, when I walk into Walmart, when I walk into Best Buy. And from what I was seeing also anecdotally on Reddit and Twitter, that seemed to be the case as well. Now, I'm sure that Xbox, in terms of supply, they're doing way better than PlayStation. Xbox has actually been outselling PlayStation by a pretty good margin in a lot of regions in the US. And a lot of people say, okay, well, hold up. You got to take into account that they're getting Xbox Series X and especially S consoles out there into the market faster. And Sony, they're not able to keep up. But if they had the supply, they would definitely sell them. Trust me, bro. And I'm sure there's some truth to that. But in the meantime, it is disappointing that we are going to be experiencing these shortages for the rest of the year through the holiday season when a lot of people want to pick these up for their loved ones, for their kids, whoever. Hopefully by 2023, 2024, if we're all still alive and on this planet, there will be no more console shortages. They'll have figured it out by then. What's up, guys? I am once again coming at you live from my bedroom to talk about Game Pass. That is right, like I always say, it is not an Xbox ready video if I don't talk about Game Pass in some way. And June is actually shaping up to be a really awesome month for the service. I was not expecting that. Started off strong with Assassin's Creed Origins, not Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Origins. I got it from the comments, guys. I was able to play through that, give my first impressions in a previous video, and I've continued to play through it, and I've had a lot of fun. It's my first time revisiting the Assassin's Creed franchise in a long time. I fell off after Unity. Looks great. They just added a next-gen patch that boosts the frame rates and all sorts of other stuff to make it look all nice and fancy. Also, this week, Naraka Blade Point is making its way on over to Xbox consoles for the first time, and also Game Pass Day 1. Now, this might finally be the time, guys, that old Ray finally gets into Battle Royales. I have not ever sunk my teeth into a battle royale to date. I've sort of tried Fortnite, PUBG, Apex Legends, the zombie one, H1Z1. Also tried Spellbreak. I did like Spellbreak a lot, but overall I have not gotten obsessed with Battle Royale like most of the gaming community has. But Naraka Blade Point might finally be the game that draws me into Battle Royales. Obviously, I love the character customization that they showed off in that extended look at the Xbox Bethesda showcase. And I'm just a real fan of this action JRPG look and feel. We'll see how it goes and how it translates to console. From my understanding, it's been really popular on Steam since it released last year. And of course, we have this game right here that I'm about to play through, give my first impressions of, and that is TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Like a lot of people out there, I played the ones that came out on the Super Nintendo. I played them in arcades, specifically the Cece's Pizza on Days of Allah back in San Antonio. If you know, you know. I'm super excited to dive in, play a little bit, give my first impressions alongside a very special guest. And here is my special guest, my lovely wife, Haley. Let's jump into the story right here. New game? Do you want to do chill, okay, or gnarly?
Do okay.
Okay, yeah. I like purple, I like bow staffs, I like pole arms in games traditionally.
I like bow staffs.
I like bow staff. And then you are just like a ruffian with your tongue hanging out. Alright.
No,
Yeah.
shit, dude.
Oh my god, it's happening. I'm jumping.
Yeah, you're here.
Oh, I love that. The hits.
Look at the hips.
Whoa!
Oh yeah. Cowabunga it is. Oh, I threw you, I think. We did like a combo move. We got an achievement. Teamwork. Before 10 team attacks in multiplayer. We got this. He's almost dead. Don't die.
No, wait.
Got him.
Wow.
We got an achievement. Most fearsome fighting team. Let's go. Let's go.
Wow, that's cute.
L, B, the button used to... Don't dance on me. Please.
It worked.
So, first impressions, right off the bat, what do you think? Project into the microphone a little bit.
It's fun. It's hard. And I think from the second to the third level was very difficult. But I like the colors, and you know, once you kind of get the hang of the controls, it's actually pretty easy to like attack and everything.
Yeah, I gotta agree with the colors for sure, because I think they did a great job of capturing the old school kind of feel of it, but they updated it to look really, really nice with the animations. I love the goofiness of it in the first kind of level, where they were like working at the computer and like doing crunches in the exercise area and everything, the enemies.
So this is a new game?
This is a new game, yes. It just came out last Thursday on the 16th, I believe.
It's not just like a remastered.
It's not a remaster, so it's inspired off of the old beat 'em up TMNT games, but it's new. Yeah.
Cool.
I like the different sort of team moves that you could do. We can high five each other.
You love to high five.
I love the high fives, and I love the dancing. I thought the dancing added a really cool character element to it. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for joining me for this very special edition of Rayplay, is what we're calling these segments now. Again, I have my lovely wife, Haley, that joined me. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more of this stuff, because it was super fun to film.
Let's discuss.
Let's discuss. That's the catchphrase, baby. So I was browsing Reddit the other day, like one does, and I came across this post on r/Xbox that was the specifications for you to make your own Xbox 360 inspired controller in the Xbox Design Lab. I'm not gonna lie, this looks pretty good. It's pretty almost accurate. I would say the only thing I would change is on the YBAX buttons, instead of black on the colors, make it white, but I know that's not an option. But if you take a look at this, it shares the exact specifications if you want one of these controllers yourself, which I thought was pretty cool. On the bumpers, you want robot white, same thing for the triggers. D-pads, you want ash gray, as well as the thumbsticks. And on the ABXY, black on colors, that, like I said, is the only option. I wish there was white on colors, that would be more accurate, obviously, but you work with what you can get. And the view, menu, and share buttons, you gotta go with gray on white. And the body, you do robot white. On the back, you also do robot white. Now, like I said, I think that's a pretty clever way to use Xbox Design Lab, right? I didn't know that we'd be at the point where we'd be saying, oh, let's try to make our controller look like it did 15 years ago, but here we are. It's a good nostalgic little thing. But it also reminded me that I think it was like a year ago, this guy James Shields on Twitter did pretty much the same thing. He posted this tweet, got a little bit of traction, got like over 8,000 likes, a lot of retweets, and he shared, it's a little bit different, his design, than what we saw on this Reddit post. He still does the robot white on the body, but on the back he uses ash gray, because as we all remember on the original Xbox 360 controller, on the bottom it had that gray. The whole back wasn't gray, but on the bottom itself it was gray, and then it would fade into a white on the back. So in order to kind of replicate that, he does back ash gray, and yes, while it takes up the whole back plate, and back then it didn't, it's still pretty close once you take a look at it. On the bumper, same thing, he does pretty much all white, robot white, triggers, robot white, D-pad, ash gray, thumbsticks, Storm Gray, that was a pretty interesting choice to switch up the different grays on the D-pad and the thumbsticks. But overall, seeing these guys make their own Xbox 360 inspired controllers in the design lab has got me thinking they should just re-release the Xbox 360 controller. Do like a special edition controller like they did with the Duke. They do have Duke controllers that you can use with your current Xbox consoles, which I think is really awesome. It's obviously not the most ideal controller that's ever been made, but for the nostalgia, for the feels, for the member berries, it's great. I think if they released the Xbox 360 controllers, that could do numbers, man. That could do numbers. Lots and lots of sales. That could be Xbox if they just re-released the Xbox 360 controller. Last but not least, let's talk about the summer of games. That is right. It has been a crazy couple of weeks with Summer Game Fest, with State of Play, with the Xbox Bethesda Showcase. It's a great time to be alive if you're a gamer. I go home, I play games on my Xbox Game Pass, then I switch over to my PlayStation, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I can finally play Ghost of Tsushima. This is crazy. I'm gonna take my Nintendo Switch and go into my living room and play Pokemon or Animal Crossing. It's just like, I grew up like only getting one game like for my birthday or for Christmas or something, only having one console. So living through this time and being fortunate enough to have all three consoles and playing games everywhere, it's like, this is awesome. And if you love games as much as I do, this week is your week. That's right, cancel all your plans, stay into the total darkness, neglect all your social obligations to play all of these new demos that Xbox is making playable. This event starts on June 21st and runs until June 27th, and you'll have access to over 30 game demos for free directly on your Xbox. This is sort of like Steam's Next Fest, which happened last week, which had a lot of great demos, and I like this trend of bringing game demos back. I miss those days, and lately we've been hearing a lot of stuff about paid demos through the PlayStation Plus service, sometimes through Xbox Game Pass. We heard a little bit about that, and I'm like, no, I'm not about that. Demos should be free. They're demos. That's how it's always been. You'd get them in a little like magazine, like Gaming Weekly or whatever the hell it was. It came in like a little like sleeve that you would take the demo, plug it in, and it'd come with like 5 or 6 games that you'd play and get to try out for free. You'd never have to pay for them. One thing you have to understand about this event is that you have to be a little forgiving. I know that's hard for the gaming community sometimes. People love to jump on the negativity bandwagon, but these games, they're not wholly finished yet. There are still some test build stuff in these games if you were going to play them. Some of these games include Atto, Batora, Lost Haven, Battle Cakes, Boxville, Brock the Investigator. Get it? Because he's a gator. Broken Pieces, Despot's Game, Doodle God Evolution, Endling, Extinction is Forever, and so much more.